Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit from the book of Matthew, chapter 24. And we'll start with verse 1. And this is just kind of an introduction to a thought here today. I'll spend a little bit of time on. Matthew 24, and I'm going to start the very first verse. It says, "And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple." I have to stop. We get excited about things, and the disciples were excited about things, and so excited that they wanted to show the things that they were excited about to Jesus. And I had it pointed the wrong way. So they went out to show him the temple and the buildings of the temple, and I suppose it was somewhat of a way to impress him. But what they were excited about, Jesus wasn't so excited about. And he kind of puts a damper on that enthusiasm. Verse 2 says, "And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, and that shall not be thrown down." And so he says, all that you're looking at and that is impressive to you is going to be destroyed. And so, I'll look at the temple. Oh, by the way, I was just there visiting with some of the Pharisees. They're not too happy with me. And they left the temple, if you could say, not on a good note. Jesus did. But the last thing he said to them in chapter 23 was this: "For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." Now he just rebuked the whole mess of them, the whole bunch of them. And they were not happy. And he said, "I'm not coming back here until you're ready to say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." So the disciples, maybe they're trying to figure out what that's all about. And they say, "Well, here's the temple, take a look." And they said, "This isn't going to last." But the next time he comes back to that temple, they're going to say, "Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." Well, he hasn't shown up yet there, but he's coming. He's coming back, and he's going to show up at the temple. The temple's been destroyed, like he says, and they believe that there's going to be another temple. We won't get into that, but verse 3, we go on in chapter 24. "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" And this is a verse that sets up the study oftentimes for Matthew 24, which is the Olivet Discourse, or his teaching on the Mount of Olives concerning the end times. But oftentimes that verse number 3, I would say, is taken out of context, because as he said I read it again, "As he said on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be?" Well, what was in their minds? We teach it, or prophecy teachers teach it, as if they had this end time scenario in their minds. They did not, I don't believe. I believe they had this last statement that he made, that he's going to come back and they're going to say, "Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." And so really, what were they expecting? It was the same thing that they were expecting all along in the ministry of Jesus. He was going to become their king. He's their Messiah. He is going to overthrow the Roman government. He's going to set up his kingdom. That's what they were looking for. And so when he said, "You next time I come, you're going to say, 'Blessed is he,'" and they're going, "Wow, it's going to happen." And then that's their excitement. And he says, "This is going to get tore down." As he was ascending after his resurrection, just before he ascended into heaven, they said, "Will thou at this time do what? Restore again the kingdom to Israel." Even after his death, burial, and resurrection, they were still expecting him to restore the kingdom. And he said, "It is not for you to know." When he said that, "It's not for you to know." I want to know, Lord.
Right.
I want to know. And he's looking down and he's looking at you and me and he says, "It's not for you to know. But I do have a plan. You're not going to see it, but I have a plan. And the way it's going to work out is not the way you have in your mind." Anybody ever have one of those things?
Yeah.
Where you think it's going to work out this way, and God says, "No. I'm going to tear this building down. I'm going to tear this temple, and there's not going to be one stone upon another." And he says, "But don't worry, I still have a plan.
Yes.
And my plan is really a lot better than your plan, but you're going to have to just walk it out. You're going to have to walk." I think of what he said to Joshua. He said, "Wherever you put your feet,
Yes.
wherever you put your feet, that belongs to you." It doesn't say everything belongs to you now. No, you got to walk it out.
Right.
You know, the word kingdom comes from that very word, to walk it out, to walk.
Oh, does it?
So when we are in the kingdom, we have to live the kingdom, not come to the kingdom. Or the kingdom, the kingdom come to us. What do you say? "Thy kingdom come," what? "Thy will be done." Not my imagination or my anticipation, but "Thy will be done on earth," where? "As it is in heaven." So there's the kingdom's in heaven, and we're supposed to pray it down to earth. And then it says, "Give us what? This day." And what did Jesus say about the day? Don't think about tomorrow, just think about today. This is the only day you've got to live. Do your best in it, and I'll take care of the details.
Right.
I'll take care of whether or not we're going to do this or that. That's my plan. Guess where my plan is? It's in heaven. Your duty is to bring your daily walk down in prayer early in the day, or whenever you pray. Get it prayed down. Not my will, but thine. There's a lot of statements that are flying through my head here. But so they were expecting one thing, and Jesus begins to teach something that they're not really probably understanding. They're expecting him to take the kingdom, and he said, "When will these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming?" Well, when we hear that sign of thy coming, we're thinking Jesus is coming back for the church. They didn't understand that. They thought that he was coming as the king to rule Israel.
Right.
And so what was thy coming going to be? I don't think they quite grasped this idea of him coming for the church. For one reason, again, what we read or quoted in Acts, where "Will thou restore at this time the kingdom to Israel?" And he said, "It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father has put in his own power, but you shall receive power. After that, the Holy Ghost has come upon you." Okay, this is the thing that people, I believe, struggle with, and that it's concepts. If their concept was a physical reign of their Messiah, and Jesus is talking about a concept that means a spiritual reign of the Messiah, when he said things, they tried to make it fit into their concept, which wasn't true. I mean, eventually he'll do that. not getting into all of that. I'm saying that so that we can understand that we have to be flexible with God, because He isn't going to let us run the show.
Right.
And so we have to be moldable, pliable. You know, what was going on, Tina was testifying over this season in her life is different than the season that she's in now. But you wouldn't be where you're at now if you hadn't gone through that other thing.
Right.
And so sometimes we're going through things that we don't want to,
Yeah.
that are not pleasant, that are not fun. But God says, I got to have you get through this so you can get into this next thing that I've got in mind. How many believe today that He has something in mind for you and for us and for His kingdom, and that we don't totally understand it, but we know we're here this morning and we know that He's a great God, and we can worship Him and praise Him and give Him glory. Amen. And that's going to set us on the right track. Okay. As usual, not ever going to get through whatever I thought I was going to do this morning. I'm going to go ahead and read on. Verse 4 says, and by the way, Matthew 24, verse 4, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Don't, how many think that deception might play right along with misconceptions?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if our conception is it's going to happen this way, and really God says, no, it's going to happen this way, that gives a perfect opportunity for a deceiver to come along and say, oh no, you're right, and teach you things that are not right. Don't be deceived. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. How many's heard of any war lately? Yeah. See that you don't be troubled by that. How many are troubled by the wars? He said, don't be. Why? Same thing. He's got a plan. And all of that, the power that is being wielded by the countries and the nations of this world cannot stop the plan of God, whatever that plan is. We're here again. We're just walking this out.
Right.
See, wars, be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. Now, Jesus is talking something totally out of their league. They were asking a question, and He's teaching them things because, for one thing, it's going to get in this Bible, and we were going to need it today, even though they were the ones asking the question. But the concept, or hopefully we have a better concept, because we have the benefit of hindsight to look back at history and know what happened in 70 AD, that the temple was destroyed, and that Jesus has ascended now, and that we're waiting for a return of Him. And the coming of the Lord that we anticipate is different than what they had in mind when they asked the question. Okay, so don't be deceived. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. Things are going to start, he says, happening. It's going to be wars, famines, pestilence, earthquakes. And he said, these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. I'm not going to read too many more verses. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, but he that shall endure and to the end the same shall be saved. So it's an endurance race. And we have to endure it partially because we don't know how that it's going to play out exactly. He gives us some markers along the way that we can look at and say, okay, this is this, this is this. But today I don't know exactly how it's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen. And we are people that do want to know what's going to happen.
Right.
But he says, just endure. You got to endure. There's a word that goes along with endurance. Anybody is kind of similar?
Patience.
Patience. Endurance and patience go together. And it tells us to be patient. I believe James tells us to be patient until the coming of the Lord. And that patience means that we have to trust Him, that He does have a plan, and that I'm part of that plan, and that He's going to work it all out. And there are sometimes we're just so, could I say, lost? Like, what are you doing, Lord?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things begin to fall into place, and we see, okay, I see why that had to happen. Okay. So, how many think that along the walk that we have with God as individuals and the church as a whole, how many think that sometimes there needs to be a rethinking of things? How many believe that? I believe there's a lot of that needs to happen. These disciples walked with Jesus for 3.5 years. You would think they would know it all. He was there to answer every question. I could ask a few questions if he was here as a man. I would be talking to him, saying, would you talk to Jesus? Yes. We would ask some questions, but they didn't get what he had in mind. And so we have to rethink. And I think rethinking is a struggle.
Yes.
We like to get in our groove. We like to get in what we believe and just stick with it. And there's truth. We need to stick with the things that are solid. But when it comes to our lives being played out, we need to sometimes rethink. And so just talking a little bit about rethinking. Church had to be rethought a little bit during COVID. The government says, no church, you can't go to church. Well, all of a sudden, we had to rethink what we're going to do.
Right.
And you say, oh, this is a bad thing, and we can't meet, da-da-da-da-da. But out of that rethinking, there were probably how many podcasts birthed? Right. How many video ministries got their launch there? How many small group meetings began to form? And how many things got rethought because we could not go to church the way that we thought we had to go to church. And God said, He'll ultimately allow that to happen. Whoever did the COVID thing, I don't know, but God let it happen. And the church should have learned some things from that experience. Part of that is that we are to watch out for one another. It's not just enough to go to church on a Sunday morning, walk in a building, sit on a pew, hear a sermon, sing a song, pray a prayer, and then walk out, and you don't even know the person that's sitting next to you. You've seen them many times, but you don't know who they are, what their needs are, how are you going to pray for them if you don't know who they are, what they're about, what their life is. I know a little bit about Monty because I see Monty. Right. At least a couple times a week. We know one another. Right. That was something that grew out of, or it was enhanced through the experience that we might say was negative, that we say is COVID. But since COVID, a lot of, how many times have you heard that expression? ever since COVID, such and such, such and such.
Yeah.
It was a change of thinking for our whole nation.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes we need to have those changes in the way that we see things, perceive things, and do things. Even ourselves are here somewhat as a result of COVID. It was at that time that we decided, let's do this that we perceive God as saying to do. There was rethinking going on. I believe that, I'm laughing because I write a few things down and think, well, this might be enough, but it's always way too much. But we are looking at times, I think that similar events to COVID are going